There are voices that entertain, and then there are voices that shake something deep inside your soul. Margie Hendrix had that kind of voice.
Raw emotion, the dazzling spotlight, the unseen, quiet wounds, and a legend enveloped by shadow.
Then came Ray Charles, and everything changed.
Sometimes I be thinking that Ray Charles was not a real person, because some of the stuff that he did, it needs to be talked about.
In July 1973, Margie Hendrix was found dead in New York City at the age of just 38.
This is the story they didn't tell you.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at you.
Something with it.
It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me always. Money coming in all day. Money coming in all paid. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly.
There are voices that entertain, and then there are voices that shake something deep inside your soul. Margie Hendrix had that kind of voice. Not soft, not polite, not forgettable. Her voice was thunder, the kind that could stand next to Ray Charles and still steal the entire song. And yet, she died at just 38 years old, forgotten by the same industry she helped build. This is the story they didn't tell you. Margie Hendrix was born in 1935 in a small town in Georgia where life was hard and dreams were even harder to reach. But inside the church, she found something powerful, her voice. She didn't just sing, she felt every note, and that feeling would one day shake the world. By the 1950s, Margie left Georgia behind and stepped into New York City, a place where dreams were made and broken. She joined a group called The Cookies, and for the first time, the world started to hear her voice. Then came Ray Charles, and everything changed. Margie became part of the Raylettes, but she didn't fade into the background. She exploded into it. Her voice wasn't supporting, it was competing. And sometimes it was winning.
We introduced to the man who would change Margie's life forever. The Cookies auditioned for Ray Charles on the song Leave My Woman Alone, and Margie's voice immediately stood out. Ray Charles was already establishing himself as one of the most innovative artists in music, blending gospel, blues, and jazz into a revolutionary new sound. He needed backing singers who could match his intensity and emotional depth, and Margie Hendrix was exactly what he was looking for. Her voice had the power to complement Ray's lead vocals while also being strong enough to hold its own during solo moments. In 1958, Margie and Darlene McCrea left the Cookies to form a new group that would become known as the Raylettes, Ray Charles's backing singers. This decision would lead to some of the greatest music of the early R&B era. But it would also set in motion a series of events that would ultimately destroy Margie's life. She was leaving behind the security of an established group for the unknown territory of being a backup singer for a rising star. But she had no way of knowing that this professional opportunity would also become a personal trap. The formation of the Raylettes marked the beginning of Margie's most successful period as a performer, but it also marked the beginning of her most destructive relationship. Ray Charles would use her talent to create some of his biggest hits, but he would also use her personally in ways that would leave lasting damage. In October 1958, Ray Charles recorded his first song with the newly formed Raylettes called Nighttime is the Right Time, and it immediately established Margie Hendrix as one of the most powerful voices in R&B. The song reached number 5 on the R&B charts and became a classic that would be remembered for decades. Margie's vocal performance on the track was explosive and commanding, demonstrating a range and emotional intensity that could match Ray Charles himself. The call and response dynamic between Margie and Ray created an electricity that was impossible to ignore. Ray Charles was not shy about praising Margie's abilities. He famously said that while Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, and Etta James were all incredible singers, on any given night, Margie would scare you to death with her vocal power. This was high praise coming from someone who worked with the best singers in the business.
Sometimes I be thinking that Ray Charles was not a real person, because some of the stuff that he did, it needs to be talked about more. For a man who can't see what time it is, this man Ray Charles used to be out here living his best life. Ray loved women, and one of the biggest loves of his life at one point in time was Margie Hendrix. Margie Hendrix needs to get talked about more. She had a great voice, and she was a major part of Ray's band and the Raylettes. It was well known to everybody that when Ray was on the road, he was always sleeping with other women, even though he was married. Before Margie came around, Ray was sleeping with Marianne Fisher, who was also part of his band. But with the arrival of the Raylettes, Marianne would leave Ray's band because she saw how close him and Margie were getting. Ray loved Margie. Now, some people say one of the reasons why he liked her so much was because she was bi. And she was also doing drugs too, and as we all know, Ray struggled with drug abuse, so they got along very well together. In Ray's book, he talked about how they got so close. They used to work on songs together late at night, and eventually it turned into something romantic. And as we all know, Margie will become pregnant by Ray, even though at the time he was still married. So Ray sends her home to have the baby, and while she's gone, he gets a replacement. But the whole time she's gone, Ray is sleeping with her replacement. And Ray would always come and see her whenever he was in town and stuff like that, and of course he was sending money, but it pissed her off knowing he was sleeping with her replacement. Even though she knew he was married the whole time, and even though when she first got to the band, he was sleeping with Marianne. She eventually comes back to the band, and Ray is still sleeping with this woman. And Margie starts to drink more, and she starts becoming a problem for Ray. But then, Ray gets rid of her when he finds out that she's sleeping with somebody else in the band. Even though Ray is sleeping with all these women on the road, in the band, and has a whole wife at home, he kicks her out when she starts to mess with somebody else. And like I said earlier, for a man who can't even see what time it is, this man Ray Charles was living very wild.
There are 3 conspiracies floating around. If you had to name which one, if you had to say which one of these conspiracies were true, which do you believe? The first one will be, there have been several celebrities who were friends with Ray Charles that have come forward and say that they do not believe that he was really blind. They have said that even with extensive training for the blind, the things that they have caught him doing when he thought that no one was watching, no blind man would be able to do for real. So there are several conspiracies that he faked his blindness.
Disaster.
Think of it, everything's a drug, really. If anything to make your body, try to make your body do certain things is a drug. But I say that the so-called drugs, as we know it as heroin and stuff like that, the heavy drug, I think it's very, very bad, and I certainly should know.
The dynamic between Ray and Margie was complicated by the power imbalance in their relationship. Ray was not only her romantic partner and the father of her child, but also her employer and the person who controlled her career opportunities. This gave him tremendous power over her life in ways that made it nearly impossible for her to leave or protect herself from his worst behaviors. She needed the income from performing with the Raylettes, but staying meant continuing to endure a relationship that was becoming increasingly destructive. In early 1964, the Raylettes released the single A Lover's Blues, which featured Margie on lead vocals. It would be the last song she ever recorded with Ray Charles, and the title proved to be prophetic. By this point, her drug and alcohol use had escalated to the point where it was affecting every aspect of her life and work. She was no longer the reliable performer she had once been, and Ray was losing patience with her unpredictable behavior and declining performance quality. The end came during a tour in Europe in July 1964, when Margie and Ray got into what witnesses described as a heated and possibly physically violent argument. The exact details of what happened during this confrontation have never been fully revealed, but it was severe enough to end their professional and personal relationship permanently. During the argument, Margie revealed to Ray that she had been secretly having an affair with John Hunt, one of his trumpet players. This revelation was the final straw for Ray Charles. He officially fired Margie from the Raelettes and sent her back to the United States immediately, effectively ending both their working relationship and their personal involvement. For Margie, this meant losing not only her main source of income, but also her connection to the music industry's highest levels. She was suddenly cut off from the career and lifestyle she had built over the previous 6 years. The firing represented more than just the end of a job for Margie. It meant losing her identity as one of the most important backup singers in R&B and being cast out from the musical family that had defined her adult life. Ray Charles moved on with his career and quickly replaced her with other singers, but Margie was left to deal with the aftermath of their relationship alone. She had to figure out how to support herself and her son while dealing with serious addiction issues and the emotional trauma of being rejected by the man.
And then it ended. She was fired, just like that. The woman who helped build the sound was erased from it. By the 1970s, she faded away. No spotlight, no applause, just silence. And at only 38 years old, Margie Hendrix was gone.
In July 1973, Margie Hendrix was found dead in New York City at the age of just 38. The circumstances surrounding her death remain one of the most mysterious and troubling aspects of her tragic story. No autopsy was performed, and the official cause of death was never determined due to a lack of evidence. This absence of concrete information has led to decades of speculation about what really happened to one of R&B's most powerful voices. Most sources claim that Margie died from a heroin overdose, which would be consistent with her well-documented struggles with addiction. By 1973, she had been using heroin and alcohol heavily for nearly a decade, and her physical and mental health had deteriorated significantly. An overdose would represent the tragic but predictable end to years of self-destructive behavior that began during her toxic relationship with Ray Charles and continued through her failed solo career and personal tragedies. However, the lack of an official autopsy and the mysterious circumstances of her death have fueled persistent rumors that there was more to the story. Some sources suggest that she may have died in a car crash, which would be particularly tragic given that she had already survived one serious accident in 1967. Others have speculated that she died from cancer, though there is no evidence to support this theory. The absence of clear information has allowed these alternative explanations to persist for 50 years. What is known for certain is that Margie was facing poverty at the time of her death. Her music career had been over for several years, and she had no significant income or resources to support herself. The woman who had once been one of the most important voices in R&B was living in obscurity and financial desperation. This economic reality may have contributed to her continued drug use as a form of escape from an unbearable situation. The mystery surrounding Margie's death takes on additional significance when considered alongside her son, Charles Wayne's own mysterious death in 2013. Like his mother, Charles Wayne died under unclear circumstances with no autopsy or official cause of death. The fact that both mother and son died under mysterious circumstances 40 years apart suggests that there may be darker forces at work in this family's story than have ever been publicly acknowledged. Margie was buried at New Bethlehem Missionary Baptist Church Cemetery in Register, Georgia, returning to the small town where her life began.
Margie Hendrix. Not just a tragedy, not just a rumor, but a voice that changed music forever. And today, we remember her the right way.
So in this book, on the first page, actually, I have a glamour affirmation that you will basically say, you stand in front of the mirror and you stare at yourself and you admire yourself and you will say to yourself how beautiful you are. You'll basically seal your beauty, like your glam, after you've done your makeup, or even stand in front of the mirror naked with nothing on, so you can really reaffirm yourself of your beauty, of your confidence and all that. This book is mainly for like self-confidence and self-elevation, you know, calling the goddess in you, calling the divinity in you, you know, calling the beauty in you, and also work with the moon, because the moon represents the woman, the mother, water, all of this. So yeah, I have all the steps in here of all the spells that you need to. It has one for to get rid of unwanted guests. It's pretty funny. To get rid of unwanted guests. And this book right here, right? So I'm gonna run down real quick about the materials that you're going to need. You will need a brand new broom. It has to be brand new. And you will need a piece of parchment paper, a black pen, a black trash bag, because we're going to get rid of this sucker, right? And of course your intentions. And also I have spells on here that you can say. I have daily affirmations. And also I have spells on here that you can do every single day to work with the energy of the planets of the day, and also the archangels that work with the day. So anyways, there's so many spells. There's a 7-day manifestation spell with archangels, and let's see, a 30-day money spell with bay leaves and the Fihu sign, which is a money sign. It's like an F with the extra part. Anyways, the symbol is there, and I even show you like what you need to do, what the sigil looks like, all that, and the keys to enhance your spell. So there are different things on here on how to enhance your spell, and basically